not something that I've ever bought into. That doesn't
slow
absolve.
at the end
That
there.
doesn't mean I want to live in every country. It doesn't mean I think all cultures are equal either. You know,
I just
I don't
give up
believe all
on
cultures are equal. I don't
speed
believe
is just too
that
slow.
my interests are served by every culture or every part of the world, and I don't think forcing all these people to live together is going to work. I mean, this is something that's just my thing, and it's a lot of people across the world are responding to this idea that everybody's going to live together peacefully. May not be the case. I don't know, but subjugating people is a bad thing.
That was so
Subjugating people is a bad thing because not only it's a moral problem, but it's a political issue because of blowback.
Yeah.
What you just said. Yeah. It does come back to you, you know?
Yeah, we don't have to be...
Yeah.
We don't have to
Everyone
hide
doesn't
behind
have
the
to
idea.
love each other and love each other. I don't have an interest in telling Yemen how to live. I don't have an interest as an American telling the Yemenis how to behave. That's not in my interest, right? It was not in my interest telling Iraq how to behave, or that Afghanistan warlords have to live like people in Vermont. I have no interest in that. I certainly don't have an interest in it at gunpoint. It doesn't seem to be effective, right? So that really becomes the issue: is that you have a situation where people are really hopeless and they're embracing these pathologies because of this situation, and we need to figure out a way to not make it worse. And by giving Israel unending streams of money, and then I think Biden just said we're gonna take the weapon. What did he say?
2,000 more Hellfire missiles
More
right in
missiles.
the hands of Israel. I mean, I think that what you just said was great, and I totally agree with it. And I think that we don't have to be intellectual cowards. We can be super honest and frank about why things are happening,
right?
And analyze the context behind why things are happening instead of pretending like Putin is some aberration, some cartoon evil villain who just acts out of pure cruelty.
Pure malice.
Pure malice. You just can't explain it.
This is the guy that after 9/11 called us and said, really sorry, has never launched a war on Western interests once, Putin's never done anything, right?
Instead of being honest, they ban Russian media. They just try to sanitize our reality.
They get rid of Chris Hedges, the big threat.
Yeah,
Chris
and
Hedges,
me, my show. Don't forget about me, man.
Course,
I mean,
yes,
it's crazy to purge history. When I I criticized Russia on my show. I mean, it's just so crazy to just sanitize our reality and say, you can't handle the truth, Tim. We just have to tell you what to believe. Just listen to us. You can't actually hear what Putin's saying. You can't analyze the situation for yourself. So that's when I look at anything that's being painted as this. Yeah. And I apply it to groups like Hamas. Right. And I want to learn what is Hamas and why are they doing what they do. I don't think that you can paint everyone in Gaza suffering at the hands of Israel as people who aspire to join Hamas. But I will say that the people in Hamas certainly have suffered at the hands of Israel. I'm sure the vast majority have lost their friends and family.
It's a paramilitary group. It's a terrorist group. But again, what are they going to do outside of terrorism? You know, this is what happens, right? This is unfortunately, and it's not doesn't condone it. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't justify it. What it says is, contextually, when people feel like they have zero hope and they've seen their family and friends murdered, they embrace these pathologies.
This is a W here,
right?
Man, I just lost
terrorism comes from that. It doesn't mean
rank
that
up game there.
all malice or evil in the world comes
completely
from that
winning.
either. There are
A
people
lot of
that do
time.
bad things for the sake of doing bad things.
No excuses.
There are people that want control over other people for the sake of it. There are people that I'm sure
come on, man, move your
Israel,
fucking pieces.
Immaterial of what Israel does. I'm sure that those people do exist. I know they exist.
Interesting.
I've heard them, but in this particular situation, it does feel like there has to be a way to give Palestinians autonomy and rights and prevent decades more of this and cycles of violence.
And I don't think Hamas is a terrorist group.
Yeah. And is that, well, they engage in terrorism, right? I mean, it's a terrorist thing.
What does that mean? It's such an arbitrary term. I want to be clear about what we're talking about.
Well, you could say that Israel's engaging in it too. Anybody who's engaging in the type of stuff that we're doing. But I think when you go to a music
Okay.
festival indiscriminately killing people, that seems to be terrorism.
Makes sense.
Right? If you
Makes
kidnap
sense.
children,
He wants that
seems to be
bishop.
terrorism, right? I mean, it doesn't. Now, you might say they don't have
Okay, I'm going here. I
the
wanna
military to engage, like,
get that rook
but when
off
you're
of
hitting
there.
soft
And this
civilian
piece, maybe.
targets, as Israel's done, so I'm not absolving them.
lets me.
To me, that's kind of the definition of terrorism. It's like soft civilian. Now that means like there's a lot of armies that you could say are but I wouldn't
Oh
say
shit,
Hamas
it's
is
mate though if I do that.
not a terrorist group because their aims, seem to be to inflict terror on the Israeli population. And the same way that Israel,
checkmate.
in the way that it's behaving now, seems to inflict terror on. So I don't want to absolve one group and say.
Oh
that
my
the
God,
other
what do
group,
I
'cause They both
do?
seem to want to do the same thing.
All right, here.
I mean, Israel's doing it with the military, but that doesn't mean that it's not terrorism, right? And I mean, that might mean that all war is terrorism, but I wouldn't want to
Fucking bitch,
absolve
man.
Hamas. I don't know what Hamas wants for Gaza. That's part of the hard thing, right? I don't know what Hamas. I know that they've taken a lot of money from Qatar. I don't know what they've done with it, and I don't know if they have
What
the
am I
best
doing?
interest of people
I had a mate. Holy shit,
in
did he see
Gaza
it?
at heart. I don't know.
Oh, I hope he
that-
doesn't
I
see
know that
it.
they
Holy,
want
he saw it. He
the
fucking
Israeli
saw it.
occupation to end, but I don't know enough about them to know.
No, the mate!
Exactly. Are they good at
Mate!
governing Gaza? Are they a legitimate? Because it seems like they're not good at that.
It's
Well,
checkmate.
it's hard to govern a
I had it to move
population that's under
before, and I just
blockade.
blew.
Right, but
You
would
don't
they
allow
be?
clean
would,
water.
Would they?
I have